All right, welcome to the Robert Show. We are here at Small Data SF, and look who I have with me, Wes McKinney. I'm so happy to have you on the Robert Show. It's finally, years of following you, your content. Obviously, we've done so much for the community out there. So excited to have you on the Robert Show. Obviously, I'm excited to chat about small data. I'm excited to chat about Posit. Co-founded Voltron Data. You obviously co-created Pandas, Apache Arrow now, and many more projects that you work on. So I'm excited to chat with you today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Awesome. Just for, since we are here at Small Data, I'm kind of curious to know what brought you here and why are you interested in this topic of small data?
Well, I started out building tools for small data to make working with small data sets that fit in memory, work on your laptop, work on your desktop,
Right,
make that easier.
right.
So when I got out of school and found myself doing some data analysis in Excel and with SQL and with R, I really felt the desire to make the tools a lot better to make people more productive, and I found that I really enjoy building tools, designing tools for humans to use, not only making systems more efficient, more scalable, but also making the code easier to write to make the whole process for the people in the loop more pleasant.
Yeah, that's awesome, and thanks for sharing those insights because it kind of also, obviously this conference validates a lot of things for me as well in terms of me talking. Like, I go out and talk to a few enterprise leaders out there, and it's always a thing that they kind of have is like, oh, we work on big data projects, but then there's obviously a lot of room for smaller projects that we want to work on, and
Yeah.
this could be the start of it. Is that the same, that what do you
Well,
hear?
I mean, I think what's interesting is that what was once big data is not big data anymore. So people used to think about 100 gigabytes as big data or a terabyte as big data, but that data fits on your laptop now, and we've got
Right.
the semiconductor industry has succeeded in packing a lot of very powerful processor cores, even on mobile phones
Exactly.
and laptops, and disk speed has gotten really, really fast. And at the same time, there's been a lot of engineering work to build these high performance execution engines like DuckDB that can be used anywhere, that can run on your laptop. And so the kinds of capabilities that we have that can run locally right on your laptop or on your mobile phone is really impressive, and it far exceeds anything that we had 10 years ago or 15 years ago. And so what was once thought about as big data is no longer big data. And so that's partly what we mean when we say small data or making small data cool again.
Right.
Because the reality is that a lot of business workflows don't actually. You might have big data. The way we like to say is that big data is what happens when you collect a lot of small data over time in a
Right.
business. Collecting sales data or mobile phone, analytics from users and web applications and mobile applications and things like that. But a lot of business analytics, there's been studies that have shown that more than 99% of business analytics workloads only end up touching a small fraction of the total data set. And so I think the idea is that we want to build tools that can operate efficiently at that scale. Of course, to have the option to use an actual big data system when you need to operate on the full data set.
Right.
But yeah, there's no sense in kind of using kind of the heavy artillery for these problems that 100 gigabytes and on down is what I would qualify as the small data, where there's no sense in using a distributed system or
Right.
running Spark or something where you need to spin up a cluster when you can do it on, you can rent a single node in AWS that has 24 terabytes of memory. And so if your data fits in memory, then it's not big data anymore.
Just keep it easy and just keep it, less complex. Kind of
Right.
makes it easier for the enterprise
That's
leaders
right.
out there as well. So thanks for sharing that. I'm kind of also curious to know. Obviously, I just saw your talk about retooling for a smaller data era. What does this mean? And first of all, I love the talk, but then kind of excited, curious to know a little about that.
Yeah, so what I mean by retooling is that, over the last 10 years, I think there was a realization in the mid 2010s that we needed to rethink many of the different layers of the data stack, not only the user interfaces, but the middle layers, the execution engines, the query optimization, the storage layers, to make everything a great deal simpler and more efficient. And so my talk was about the open standards and protocols that we've been developing to modularize and standardize those different layers of the stack to make things more interoperable, more efficient, as well as making the individuals, people writing code, a great deal more efficient. So the idea is that in thinking about the smaller data era is that we think that in the future, now, not only now, but also in the future, that most work can take place on a single node. And so we need to optimize around that single node development experience to make people really, really productive and able to prototype and work at that small scale. But then whenever they do need to scale out, or maybe 99% of the time they're working on a single node, either in the cloud or on their desktop or their laptop. But when they do actually encounter big data, that it's not a great hardship where you have to say, oh, we need to use a totally different system to work with this data, but actually we can say, okay, here's my code, I've developed it for small scale, but I need to run that at large scale, but that we have the ability to generate a configuration from that user's code without having to rewrite the code that can operate at large scale on a distributed cluster.
I love it. That kind of also brings me to another interesting question is about the challenges, right? What do you see in terms of the challenges when it's about the big data now, and now when you're talking about the small data? What's like the equation there?
I think it really comes down to use a user experience question where I think we want to bring I think small data is not just about the data size, but it's also about the mindset. That when we think about small data, we also think about immediacy, we think about speed, we think about interactivity. And so we want to design our user interfaces and our tools around that interactivity, that fast feedback cycle, rapid feedback, interactivity, responsiveness, low latency interactions. And so there's a bunch of projects happening. There's like a new project called Mosaic, which is a DuckDB powered data visualization, cross-filtering framework out of the University of Washington and CMU. It's really about like how do we build a framework that enables us to build these low latency interactive data dashboards where we can attach to, maybe it's a small data set, but it might not be, but that, all of that is in the background, and we can think about how do we build this highly interactive, responsive data application where we can get answers to our questions really, really fast, and the users don't have to think about the infrastructure and like how to deploy this and how to run it. And so I think that small data mindset really helps inform us our user experience design approach.
I love it, and thanks for sharing that. Kind of also curious to learn a little about what is Apache Arrow. I know that's the project that you're working on. I'm pretty sure the audience would be curious to learn a little about that as well. And I know the projects that you've done have massively been adopted by such a large community. So looking forward to learning about this.
So Apache Arrow is not a project that gets used by a lot of end user data scientists and data engineers, but it's one of those open standards and protocols that I was talking about where it provides this high bandwidth, high performance data connectivity layer. So we recognize that in order to build next generation, more efficient systems, that we needed to be able to transport large quantities of data from system to system at very high bandwidth across networks and from storage and into memory. And we need that data format to also be very efficient for query processing, for actually executing and processing data. So we started developing Arrow in the mid-2010s, in 2015, 2016. It's now almost a 9-year-old project. We've been developing it. There's Arrow libraries for all kinds of programming languages and different types of systems. But it has really served as one of the new pieces of connectivity fabric that has enabled these kind of next generation accelerated systems that are built to power us for the next 20 years.
Nice. Definitely looking forward to it. One more question around small data. Do you think this is like the next big thing?
Well, like I said, it's a mindset, and I think that machines are going to continue to get more, larger, more powerful. Processor core counts are going to continue to go up, as well as I think we'll eventually see specialized computing hardware that just serves analytics and does analytical data processing. And so I think, like I said, getting people in that small data mindset of building, of thinking about user experience, building for user productivity, building for the local development experience, or hybrid, having some processing local, some cloud, which is like the mother duck model. I think that makes a lot of sense. But the reality is that there still is big data, and but the goal is to be able to leverage truly scale out distributed big data systems without having to rewrite your code. And so, so recently, the last several years, we've put a lot of emphasis on a Python project called IBIS, which basically is a portable data frame API that's aiming to achieve that scale-independent computing for Python developers. Basically incorporating what we learned from building Pandas to create something that is designed for the local experience, but whenever you need to point to a ClickHouse database or a BigQuery or Spark SQL, that you can go from working locally with DuckDB at a certain scale, call it 1 terabyte and down on your laptop, to working at the 100 terabyte or the 1 petabyte scale without having to rewrite your code.
Okay, that's fantastic. I think I'm going to definitely share that with our audience as well, like a link where people can learn more about Apache Arrow, IBIS, and other things as well. I know the conference is getting busier. So one last question for you, Wes. If people want to reach out to you, where can they do it? If they can follow these projects, which is the best place?
Yeah, you can follow me on Twitter, X, and LinkedIn. I'm present on both of those platforms. I'm not sure how many people are still on Twitter, but I still read things there, and you can send me a direct message. I'm at Posit now. I'm involved with the Positron project. It's a new data science IDE. I would encourage you to follow along with that. IBIS, Arrow, and Pandas, of course, are still projects that I created or co-created, and still have large communities around them. So if you're interested in getting involved with these communities, they're always in need of new developers, and your feedback from a user standpoint is also very helpful. So there's many ways for you to get involved, and I look forward to seeing everyone around.
That's awesome. And one last question, for sure, I promise, is about the book.
Yes.
When is the next edition coming? People love it.
Yeah, they do. So we came out with the 3rd edition of Python for Data Analysis in 2022, which was updated for Pandas 2.0.
Yes.
And I still keep it up to date. And right now, we're in a bit of a transitional period. There's Polars, which is a new data frame library for Python, and so people have asked me about having like a Polars version of the book or something like that. So I'm in a little bit of like a wait and see to kind of conceive of like what will maybe the 4th edition of the book look like.
Yes.
And what sort of new content that I might like to add. But I think that the topics that are treated in the book are really about learning skills and learning how to think about working with data in Python. And so I think a lot of it's really evergreen content. So even if people are using Pandas less and less in the future because they're using Polars or something else, you can still take the skills that you learn in the book and you can put them to work. It will make it that much easier to learn other tools in the ecosystem and become productive. I
love it. So definitely looking forward to it. And thanks for sharing all the details. Thanks for visiting the Ravid Show, and hope you have a great conference ahead. Thank you. Thanks, Wes.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks, everyone.